Hello and welcome back. We are in day 13. I hope you have seen the video where I discussed about basics of Dataweave. Now, in this video, I'm going to discuss about how to write basic Dataweave expressions, how to add sample data so that we can see previews, how to externalize the Dataweave code to an external DWL file, how to create variables and functions, etc. These are very fundamentals. Watch this video completely. You'll learn about some best practices. It's not about syntaxes. It's all about best practices as well. So follow this step by step and don't miss any single thing also. I'll be talking about some best practices. Okay. So at the end, you'll be having an exercise to do. So you'll get more hands-on and confidence. Okay. So let us get started. I will be working on previous project itself. What I will do is I'll drag and drop a HTTP listener in another flow. I'll configure it to listen on port 8081 path/transform. I'll give. Then I am expecting that post request to come to this listener, and in the post body there will be a JSON. So what is the structure of JSON I'm expecting? Actually, I have a sample file. It is in my Git repository day 13 folder. So I'll copy this product.json into my SRC main resources of this project. Here, if you see this JSON, this is the JSON of product details. It contains product ID, name, description, and here you can see offer is a nested object. Images, the value is an array. This is a JSON file. I know, and I am expecting that this kind of a JSON will come as an input payload for this listener. I want to transform that incoming JSON to some other JSON or XML or so. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag and drop transform message after this listener. I want to write the transformation logic. Fine. Once I dragged and dropped, here in transform message, I'll maximize. You can see here payload is of type any. This is the input metadata part. It identified the transform message sensed based on the left side component. As it is HTTP listener, it is showing all the HTTP specific attributes. So the transform message is able to sense the metadata of the left side component. The input metadata it sensed. Attributes are fine, all HTTP specific attributes. But what about the payload? It can be any. We don't know, right? Any data can come in post. So as we know, what is the payload we are expecting? We can define the payload metadata. So I'll click on this define metadata. Here I'll click on add. I can give any name. I'll give product JSON, create a type. Okay. Let us wait. Yeah. So here you have to select. Okay, I know that the input metadata is going to be of type JSON. I'll select JSON. If you're having JSON schema, you can point it. Right now I have an example. I'll select example and then I will select the file. It is in my SRC main resources product.json. Fine. Once I gave this example, it automatically detected the structure and it is showing. Now I'll click on select. Now let us wait. It is resolving the metadata. Now I will maximize this. See the payload based on the metadata, it identified this is the structure of the payload. Now I will right click here and edit sample data. But before that, if you see in SRC main resources, product.json is present. In SRC test resources, there is only log4j2.xml, log4j2-test.xml. Now just observe, I'll right click on the payload and edit sample data. You can see whatever file I gave as an example, it is coming as sample data. And under SRC test resources, you can see that there's a folder sample underscore data created. And here you can see JSON.json, which is nothing but same as the example. And now, if I see here, if I click on this payload, you can see this is pointing to what is the path. You can see down in my cursor. It is under SRC sample underscore data JSON.json, right? So whatever you are seeing is under sample data. Yeah, yes, of course, you can modify this. If you modify the value here, JSON.json is modified, but the original one is still containing the old value. So if you want to see the sample data, how it looks like, you can right click, edit sample data. It is showing the sample data. If you select context, you will exactly see the hierarchy and you're getting the values present in a sample as well. Now, here is my Dataweave expression. Output type is Java. I just write it as payload. So whatever is the payload coming in the left, if it is converted to Java format, I want to see the preview. Let us see. It is running the preview. Yes. So this data, when it is converted to Java, this is how it looks like. Right? Now I'll convert it to JSON. Simple. Same payload. When it is converted to JSON, it looks like this. Right? Now, I don't want the entire payload to be the output. I only want payload.name. Inside payload, there is name, right? If I want to get the value of the name, I will write dot and I will select name. See, I'll be getting only the value of name. So like that, by using dot, you can select a value of any property in this object. Fine. Now what I want is, I want to construct an object. So I wrote like this. And in this, I want key as PID. And the value should be whatever is there in the payload dot. So right now, for this input, I have written a transformation logic. And this is the output. Comma. I want name payload dot name. I want original price. I'll write price payload dot original price. But there is offer price also inside offer. See, offer is a nested object in JSON. When you see here, offer is a nested object here also. How to get the value of nested properties, comma, I'll give offer price. Payload dot offer dot offer, the value is of type object dot offer price. So by using nested dots, I can select nested properties. It is very common. Fine. Images, you can see in payload dot images is of type array. So I'll write comma images payload dot images. The value is an array. Suppose if I want only one first image, I'll write payload.images of 0. 0 means it will select the first element of the array. Index of arrays will start from 0, right? Payload.images images of 0, first image. Okay. Let it be the array right now. Fine. I was able to transform this input JSON to this output JSON. Okay. I have written the logic. Let me convert this to XML. There are two issues found. As I told you earlier, when you try to convert it to XML, XML requires a key. So what you have to do is, here you have to give a key, product, I'll give product column. See, the key becomes a root tag. And each, again, inside that, the value is an object. Whatever is after the key is a body. Again, key is nothing but the tag name, tag value, like that. And for an array, see, the key is same, values are different. Is it? Yeah, fine. Now we understood how to convert to XML. Remember, as I told you earlier also, whenever you are writing your transformation logic, you concentrate on writing correct syntax for your database. So always best practice is to use applications like DW and see whether you are getting expected output or not. Later, once you feel the logic is fine, you can convert it to XML. Fine. I got this XML, but in XML, you can also specify attributes, right? I want this PID to be an attribute inside product tag. How? Very simple. I'll just cut this key value pair here. And then after the key, I will write at parenthesis, then key value pair. Now you can see whatever we write after at here will become an attribute. PID equals to the value. Again, I want name also to be an attribute. Yes, there can be multiple attributes as well, comma, like this. Right. So PID and name are attributes. This is how we can actually configure attributes in XML. Remember one important thing, if I convert it to JSON, attributes does not have any meaning. So ID and name are not present when I convert it to JSON. Remember, attributes have meaning only in case of XML. Now, I'll just convert it to DW. In DW format, of course, attributes are present. But when you convert to JSON, remember, keep in your mind, of course, it's common sense. For JSON, attributes doesn't have any meaning. Attributes have meaning only in case of XML. Fine. Now I want both key value pairs. What do you want right now? Let it be. I have to write a comma. Yes. Attributes are empty right now. Fine. Now we understood how to configure attributes, how to actually convert incoming JSON to an XML. Fine. Now, what I want you to understand is, see, this is the transform message component. If I go to XML, in the XML, oh, this is a flow tag, and this is the transform message component specific XML tag. Whatever Dataweave expression we wrote, it is going in line in the XML. So if somebody is seeing this XML, if there is a combination of Dataweave and XML tags, it is difficult to read this XML and understand it. So the best practice is don't write expressions in line. Externalize this Dataweave expressions. How? How to externalize these expressions, Dataweave expressions, into a separate external file? Let us see. I just go to graphical view again, select transform message, observe carefully here. Here in this part, output, here if you see, there's a drop down after output. Whatever expression you are writing, it will be set as payload. Okay. Now, I will go ahead and edit this. There is a edit current target button. I will edit it. Output is payload, but source is inline. I want the output, the data view, to be an external file. So I'll specify size, source code to be a file. File name I'll give product XML, suppose. Okay. you can see that product xml.dwl file is created, which contains my transformation logic. Fine. Now, if I go to the configuration XML, you can see in this above flow, this is a flow, right? Inside transform message component, set payload is pointing to this DWL file. Now, the Dataweave logic is inside a separate DWL file, which is present in SRC main resources. Good, right? Okay. Now, one more thing I want to tell you. Hey, actually, I want to write some expression and I want to set it as a variable in the Mule event. Okay, I wanted to remind you here about the structure of Mule event. I hope you remember. Every Mule event contains, this is a Mule event data structure. It contains a Mule message, which contains attributes and payload. Mule event also contains vars. Vars is a map where we can store key value pairs, right? So basically, what I want is in the Mule event, I want to create some variables. Okay. So as you know, HTTP listener, what it will do whenever it gets a request, it will create a Mule event, and initially this variables will be empty. I want to create a variable. Now, what I want is I want to evaluate some Dataweave expression, and the output of the Dataweave expression, I want to store it in a variable. How? You can see here, there is a button, add new target. I will click on this. Here in the output, I can select a variable and give a variable name. I'll give p name. I can actually write this also in a separate DWL file. I'll give any name like p name. Okay. Now, I'll write an expression, payload dot name. So whatever expression we wrote here, it will be stored in a variable called as p name. If you see this drop down, there is payload drop down. If I select, this is the earlier expression. This expression will be evaluated and it will be set as a payload inside the Mule message. And if I select the drop down variable p name, this expression, whatever is there, it will be evaluated and it will create a variable called as p name inside the Mule event. Okay, fine. Now let us see the XML. You can see here, observe that inside transform message component, set payload is pointing to this DWL. And under variables, I have set a variable with name p name, and the expression is inside this DWL. Fine. Now, can I create more than one variables? Yes. So again, what I will do is I selected this transform message. I will click on plus, and now I want to create a variable called as price, and I want it to be externalized into some other DWL price. Fine. So again, I will write payload dot original price. So right now, if I select this drop down, here I have an expression to set as payload. Here I have an expression to set as variable p name, another variable price. If I see the configuration XML, if you see under transform message, we can set payload once, of course, and we can create multiple variables. See, it is equivalent variables. We can set multiple variables like this. Okay. And one thing I want you to clearly understand, actually in the expressions, we can create a variable here also, right? Where name is equals to, for example, I will use payload.name, and here I can use its name. Fine, that is fine. This variable is a local variable which is available only inside this expression. And whatever variables we are creating here, these variables p name and price, these are the variables which will be set inside the Mule event. Remember the difference between the variables, whatever we are creating here, are local to this expression only, right? But whereas whatever variables we are creating here, they will be inside Mule event. That means what? Suppose the next component to transformer is a logger. I can access those variables. I'll write vars dot, see, p name and price, whatever variables I have created, I can access them here, right? Fine. Now, you understood the difference between these two. Fine. Now, let us say by debugging, I want to keep a breakpoint here. I want to run my application in debug mode. Let us see whether variables will be created properly or not, etc. Now, I will use Postman. I'll open Postman. And now I have to make a post request as expected to /transform. Okay. So I'll prepare this request in Postman by the time the application starts. Okay, localhost 8081/transform. I need to make a post request, and in the body, I will select raw. I know that I'm sending JSON. I have to select JSON as a MIME type. And here I have to pass the content. Wait, I'll copy the content of product.json here. Copy, paste. Okay. Now, it asked me earlier to switch to debug perspective. I'll switch to debug perspective by clicking on this icon. Fine. Now the application got deployed as well. I'll clear the console. Now let me give a request. Post request I am making to this /transform, and I'm setting the body, post body as raw. Type is JSON. Set. Now see here, as I kept a breakpoint in transform message, it is here. At this point of time, the payload is whatever I posted. Was that the expected payload structure according to my sample data also? Same. Fine. Now, if you see the where's local, these variables inside Mule event, the size is 0. Fine. I will click on this icon, or you can press F6. It will take the control to the next one. By the time when it is here, you can see the payload is whatever I transformed. It contains PID, not product ID. Right? Whatever I have written in transformer. And you can see two variables. Okay. P name, the value of the product, name of the product, price. Right? So you understood how you can create variables using transform message, how to set payload, etc. Okay. One more thing I want to tell you is how to actually create functions here. Okay, very simple. Let me show you how to create a function. Here, offer price is there, and here original price is there, right? Assume that I have some discount. What I will do is one small thing I will do in the products.json here. Instead of offer price, let me keep it as discount percentage. I want to give a discount percentage of 25. Okay, discount percentage. I changed it. Better I'll copy this JSON, and in my Git also I will replace this product.json. Yeah. Fine. So now Instead of offer price, I have discount price. Okay, now this is changed, right? I want you to understand one more thing here. In transform message, is there discount percentage right now? Yes, here offer price. So actually remember, whatever you're seeing in the sample is from JSON.json. So I will click on this close class, close tab and delete the file. Yes, I will say close tab and delete the file. See, JSON.json also is deleted. Now if I right click and edit sample data, here inside offer right now you have discount percentage. So whenever you change the sample file, make sure that you close and delete. Then again right click, edit sample data, you will get the new sample data. Okay, fine. Now in this transform message, fine, I have discount percentage. Now, if discount percentage is 25 and the original price is 1000, I want to calculate the offer price. Okay. Here, this expression will not be valid. Let us see the preview. Here, do you see offer price as null? Because inside payload dot offer dot, is there a key called as offer price? No, it is null. Right now, offer price is null. I want to calculate the offer price based on the original price and discount percentage. I want to write a function for that. A function which takes original price and discount percentage and returns me the offer price. So how to write a function? Very simple. I will use a keyword called as fun. Fun. What is the function name? Get offer price. Okay. And the function should take some arguments. I will give the names offer price. It will take original price, comma, discount is equal to, this is the syntax. Okay, let me adjust size. These are the arguments. Whatever I write after equals should be the return value of the function. So, expression as original price, the first argument, 100 discount per. This is the formula to calculate. So whatever is the expression after equals will be the return value of the function. Normally what a function will have, function name, arguments, and return type, return value. And now, how to call this function from here? Very simple. I'll call the function by using the function name, get offer price, and I have to pass the original price. I know original price, comma, discount percentage, payload dot offer dot discount percentage. So here you can see after applying 25% discount, 750, right? If the original price is 1000, yes. So this is how you can actually function. You understood how to define a function by using fun keyword. Hey, let me stop this console. Okay. You understood how to define a function. But one small thing I want you to understand, this is very, very important. Normally, in any programming language, whenever you write a function, you write like this. Suppose if I'm writing a Java function or a method in Java, I will just write like this. Public get Return type of this function I will write as say int. The function name is get offer price. It will take original price, comma, discount percentage. I'm not specifying the argument types right now. Normally, what you do, you write some logic, and then finally you use a return keyword to return the value. So you can write some logic inside the method or a function, and then finally you return it. But whereas in Dataweave, whatever is after equals is the return value directly. What if you have a complex logic and if you want a function to return a final value? Can you write multi-line function like this, like in Java or so? No, by default. So let's assume that this logic I want to break down into multiple steps, and finally I want to return. How to do it? I will tell you. I'll write another function so that we can compare. I will write fun get op. Okay. Let it take the same arguments. I'm defining one more function equals. I told you that whatever expression you write after equals will be the return value. But if you want to write a multi-line function, what you have to do is you have to use a keyword do. And inside, after do, you have to write curly brackets and you have to write dash, dash, dash. So on top of dash, 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 you can create variables. I'll create var. Let's assume that this bigger logic I want to divide into multiple steps. Where step 1, I'll write S1 is equals to. In first step, I want to calculate this value. And again, I want to create where S2 is equals to original price into S1. Then where S3 is equals to S2 by 100. So whatever you want this to return, you have to write inside S after dash dash dash. Whatever you write after dash 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 is the return value. Okay, so it looks like a multi-line function, right? You're writing some expression, storing the output in a variable. Again, another expression, storing this output in a variable. So like that, by using a syntax do, I will be able to define a multi-line function. And after this, whatever you write after dash dash dash, this is the return value anyway, right? Remember this. Mostly, many people will write a complex expression, a very complex expression in a single line. It will be difficult for somebody to understand your logic if you write a big expression. So always breaking down a bigger expression into smaller expressions is good. Divide and conquer. If I have to write a very big expression, I will definitely not write like that. What I will do is I will actually divide the bigger expression into smaller expressions like this, and finally write my expression. So always divide and conquer is a best practice, right? So now you understood how to create variables and also how to create functions. So we completed up to this. Now here you have the document, second document, where I have clearly documented all the steps, whatever I have defined, whatever I have discussed, how to create functions and all, everything is defined here. Okay, before that, you have to practice this, but before that, one more important thing I will tell you: how to write anonymous functions. Very, very, very important. If you master this, writing anonymous functions, you'll become an expert in Dataweave. Very important function. Please listen this. It might be a little bit, it appear like little bit complicated initially, but once you practice it, you'll become a master. In Dataweave, if you ask me what is most important thing you need to learn is how to write anonymous functions, or in other ways we say how to write lambdas. Lambdas are nothing but anonymous functions in another way. Okay, let us see how. I want to write a same function as a lambda, anonymous function. Anonymous means no name, right? A function, I'm defining a function, no name. These are the arguments. A function should return. You have to use this arrow symbol, not equals. I want this same expression to be returned. This is an anonymous function, a function which is not having any name, but arguments are there, return value is there. How can I use it? How can I call a function without a name? Okay, you need to understand in any functional programming language, you can use a variable to store a function as well. Okay, it's like function pointers, if you know. What I will do is I'll use a variable where just to make sure that somebody will understand it as a variable. I use v get offer price is equals to. So what I am doing is this function definition, I am storing it in a variable. This right side is an anonymous function. I am storing it in a variable. This is how we define an anonymous function. But if I don't store it in a variable, it does not make any sense. It is an error. Whenever you define an anonymous function, you have to store it in a variable like this. Then how to call this function? Very simple. Like this is a variable name. I have to use variable name wherever I am calling. I will get the same output. Okay. Fine. So now you understood how to create a lambda function or an anonymous function and store it in a variable. How to use that. Don't worry. There is a lot more about lambda functions, how we use it. We will discuss more about that in the next topics. So that's all. Now I wanted you to go to my GitHub in day 13, open this document and practice it. Without be able to master Dataweave. So don't go to next video until you practice this exercise. That's all for today. Day 13 is over. We'll meet on day 14. See you tomorrow.